So pretty much every mainline Pokemon game you see on this countdown made it for some particularly special reason, a personal reason, that means a lot to me specifically. And I usually go over those in those games' respective segments, but when personal feelings are removed, with all of my current knowledge as a video game loving guy, Pokemon X and Y are my current picks for the best Pokemon games I've ever played. An opinion I hope to verify one day because I have learned a lot about game development since I last dived into the Pokemon series, and it's also an opinion that runs the risk of making this video feel cold and clinical if I just talk about the game design of it. But I really don't have much attachment personally to this game. It was like my third or fourth-ish Pokemon game. I wasn't into competitive Pokemon yet, and I was also a teenager, so a bit too old to be the target audience. Chespin might be my favorite Pokemon, so there is that. But hey, I'll take it as a writing challenge. Let's try and use some Flabébé-esque flowery language to make the game design talk sound all warm and emotional. Kalos is a wonderfully crafted region for this game. With every Pokemon region being inspired by some real-world location, it can be tough to balance, making something that feels so much like the real-world location that it could potentially lose some of the fantasy of the Pokemon world, with making it feel so much like the Pokemon world that the original inspiration can't be felt at all. That is to say, Kalos nailed it. The historic architecture and bright flora of France is absolutely felt among the grassy towns and narrow paths of a Pokemon world. Not to mention, the world layout is so seamless without losing its sense of exploration. Consistently returning the player to Lumio City not only adds to the weight of the location, but also allows the player to feel their progression via the passage of time between visits, rather than the progression only being felt via the exploits of the party, such as evolution and learning moves. And yeah, the party, or Pokemon in this case. I didn't actually do the math or anything, but Kalos Pokemon certainly don't struggle in fan polls, nor have they struggled to continue appearing past their generation's relevance. I think focusing on a smaller total number of new Pokemon clearly paid off in the end. I've never made a top 10 favorite Pokemon list or anything, but if I did, Chespin, Talonflame, Gogoat, Pancham, Aegislash, Tyrantrum, Hawlucha, Avalugg. Just what I can think of off the top of my head right now. All of those are in the running. On the note of me sounding like a child as I name a bunch of fake cartoon monster names, I always do wonder how this being the first Pokemon game to lean into a more comedic tone plays for the children this game is made for. Because of that younger intended audience, when Pokemon tries to be really serious or heavy with its tones and conflicts, it never really lands for me. I am in my 20s. And so Pokemon making fun of itself has always really worked brilliantly for me. And that levity, I think, synergizes really well with this colorful world and these lively monsters, as opposed to always having to cope with that narrative juxtaposition of a very serious and scary bad guy bending to the whims of a 10-year-old because he had a stronger Tamagotchi. This is already going on so long, I can't even get into things like how sorely needed super training was, or how great roller skating is as a movement system, or how amazing Mega Evolution was. Like, the main thing the game was doing, besides converting to 3D, Mega Evolution was such a good addition. I'm excited to revisit Pokemon X and Y one day. It's one of the games on this countdown I want to revisit the most. On the one hand, they remain among the best reviewed Pokemon games ever made, but on the other, Pokemon has had several more entries since then that I haven't played yet. I really don't have a great concept of what Pokemon's been doing as a series since the 3DS, but I'm eager to find out. I really have no idea what I'm going to think of Pokemon X and Y in the future, and that's honestly super exciting.